Thousands depend on their John Deere Gator XUV 835R to get
from point A to point B with decoys and the dogs.
As much as we got going on, it's all about efficiency.
And if you ask the Mosers what they use their Gator XUV 590M for, they tell you.
The most fun we have on the Gator is just ripping around the property.
There are millions of ways to make the most of your land. Learn how to make the most of yours at Deere.com. Nothing runs like a Deere.
For over 150 years, CIBC has helped people go from where they are to where they want to be. From leading a few employees to managing an entire workforce. From starting local to going national. From generating wealth to generations of wealth. At CIBC, we believe a bank should take you from where you are to wherever you want to be. CIBC, ambitions made real. CIBC Bank USA, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Michael Brown here for Integrity Health Advisors. It's that time of year when you see all the commercials claiming to offer you all sorts of things if you'll call them about your Medicare when annual enrollment starts on October 1. Well, don't wait for your notice. Call now, especially if you want to make changes or you haven't reviewed your plan in years. Find out what plans might best suit your needs from a local agency that actually cares about you. Call Integrity Health Advisors today, 720-288-0863. That's 720-288-0863.
This report is sponsored by the Mark Moss Show podcast.
We're back to sunshine for your Friday. Temperatures today in the low 80s with a little bit of a breeze and plenty of sunshine to go around. I'm Fox 31 Pinpoint Weather Team meteorologist Kylie Burst.
The European Union could be on the verge of breaking apart, but their new laws and policies are working against them and making things worse. I'm Mark Moss, helping you navigate the decentralized revolution. So listen to the Mark Moss Show on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We've become so much more than a fixed frequency from a radio tower.
Take your radio with you.
630 KHOW is now available on multiple platforms and thousands of devices.
Listen to Denver's talk station from anywhere.
A stream online
at KHOW.com.
KRFX HD2 Denver.
KHOW Denver, an iHeart radio station.
It's Tom Martino, the Troubleshooter, mornings at 10. Streaming live on our free iHeart radio app and at KHOW.com.
ABC News, I'm Rena Roy. 46 days from the midterm elections and key Republicans in Congress are eyeing Pennsylvania. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy led a group of them in Pittsburgh, touting what he said are the Republican priorities. He says that includes an economy that's strong and a nation that's safe, saying Democrats have neglected these issues.
They control Washington. They control the House, the Senate, the White House. They control the committees. They control the agencies. It's their plan. But they have no plan to fix all the problems they created.
The Justice Department can continue its investigation into the classified documents that were recovered from former President Trump's Florida home after that ruling from a 3-judge panel. There is a vote underway in Ukraine considered illegitimate. It's taking place in areas occupied by Russia. Activists say armed men are going from house to house to ask people if they think those areas should join Russia. This is ABC News. Growing outrage over pandemic relief fraud costing U.S. taxpayers.
The Labor Department's Office of Inspector General said the $45 billion in unemployment insurance fraud is triple an earlier estimate. Now, more than 1,000 people have faced criminal charges for defrauding the system, but the
or what? They test something in your blood. They call it. I thought that was. I don't know the. Is it a marker of some sort? Yeah, I don't know the medical name for it. I forget it. They call it the lepsis. But they've done all kinds of imaging, right? Mm-hmm. Every time we come in, because we do it up here. You guys got a way better children's hospital than we do. Ours is kind of. But the imaging. They do,
yeah, no, Denver Children's Hospital is
it's pretty good.
Well, really good.
We had a bad experience this last time, but out of the 10 visits, it's been the only bad one. So, yeah, they do CT scan, and then they do a scan with contrast, right. And then they do what's the one where they do ultrasound? So
yeah, they're looking for cancer and everything, right? I mean, they're always ruling that out. That's good news.
Good news. Man, I wish I could figure it out. Okay. How you guys been?
It's horrible when your kid is sick.
Yeah, and you can't do nothing.
I know. I know it. It sucks.
What do you mean you don't have an answer? And at first we didn't think too much of it. They're like, oh, she'll kind of live with it and every now and then have a flare up. But it's like, man, we've been up there like 10 times, guys. We can't do this for the rest of our life. hopefully get it figured out.
How old is she?
Just turned 14.
That is fucking rare.
She spent 2 of her hospitals and 2 of her birthdays now and then.
Wow.
In the hospital for the last 2 years.
Oh man. That's gotta be stressful as shit.
PC is powered by Intel V products built for business. Call the Delta.
And they actually diagnosed it as pancreatitis.
Yeah. Acute reoccurring pancreatitis. That's what they call it.
Have they seen it before? They're a children's hospital. Have they seen it before?
The gentleman we see, he says it's very rare.
Yeah.
And he's the one that told us the flare-ups can get less, where she might have 1 every 2 years. But they wanted to do the surgery first. We did, and then it just got worse. And he said, well, we've seen that too before, where it gets worse and then it'll calm down. It's like, God, when's it going to calm down? So I'm just scared they're missing something, that's all.
No, I know. But
some cancer
Children's Hospital, I mean, with all that imaging and blood work, I mean, they're always looking for the worst.
And if they did a biopsy, then you can rule out cancer. Because that would show up on the biopsy.
Perfect.
I would ask them if they did a biopsy. They might not even think it's necessary based on her blood work, her tumor markers, her imaging. I mean, they may not, doctor. I mean, if they don't see anything or...
Yeah.
Might be worth asking, though, just to make sure.
And again, it might be a tumor marker. Like when I had my liver cancer, my tumor marker was 26,000 before the surgery. It was 8 after the surgery. So there might be a tumor marker for what she's looking for, and I'm sure they've checked it.
Okay. Just keep asking the questions.
I mean, Children's Hospital, you don't get better.
No, they're really, really good.
Especially with stuff like childhood stuff.
Yeah. And if she's been in there multiple times, I'm sure they've ruled out cancer. Because
that would
no
be
way,
the primary thing they want to rule out.
Right.
Because if she needed treatment, the earlier the
there'd
better.
be no way she'd be back multiple times if there was any kind of chance of cancer.
Exactly.
Because they would start on either chemo or radiation or something.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I definitely like the Children's Hospital up here. We drive up here on purpose because we went down to Springs.
And they don't mind that you go out of your area, right?
No, well.
And you have good insurance?
Yeah, we were in the Springs Children's Hospital and they couldn't control her. They actually ambulanced her up here the second time, and that's when we said, well, we'll just drive up there. It'll be easier.
Right, and not have to go in an ambulance.
Yeah. Plus, then we don't have to worry about, because when they lost her, like, it was out of control. She was just rolled up like a Oompa Loompa, and they couldn't figure out what to do. It was bad. So they rushed her up in an ambulance. But yeah, these guys up here are great. They know what's going on. They have all her file, right? Everything's in there, so they know. They get her on some painkillers right away, get her comfortable, and then we start working on, okay, what are we going to do to control this thing?
A severance package, or what to do with your 401k. Hi, I'm Linda Gardner, host of Your Money, Your Retirement, and I can help. 720-488-8604. That's 720-488-8604.
Any progress on Silverleaf and the other one, Empower? Wait.
Hey, ask Susie if she,
Listen to us on your radio, on your desktop, and on your smart device. Denver's Talk Station is available everywhere, in your car, at work, and wherever you go. All you need is our free iHeartRadio app. Just say, play 630 KHOW on iHeartRadio.
So it's Tom. I'll say after.
Suze, let me see some of that guy's paperwork when you get a chance.
Tom Martino. Hello, I'm Tom Martino. Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here, and thank you for listening to all of these things and passing the word around. You know, the whole strength of this show is not repeating problems and telling people what to look out for. We have saved so many people money and heartache who have not actually listened to the show because of friends who listen. So it's good to pass the word around. This is a giant club, and I mean that metaphorically, and I also mean that literally. We're a club, an organization of consumers who learn about problems before anyone else. and then we learn what to do about them. We also solve problems, answer questions, take complaints, and we are also a club, metaphorically, beating the hell out of the bad guys. 303-713-TALK. This hour brought to you by RealCBDThatWorks.com. Listen, I want you to know something. CBD is not marijuana. It is not cannabis. It is the extraction of a certain property. And there's also CBD, but I want you to know that they have products with 0 THC and because people wonder, well, am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? No, it's not going to make you high or trip drug tests, and it's wonderful for pets. It's wonderful for people for pain, inflammation, anxiety. I always thought they should make a CBD water, but I digress. Anyway, RealCBDThatWorks.com is the website. It's Panacea Life Sciences out of Golden. They're a local company, but sell nationally. And I call it the purest product around from seed to sale. 30% off with Tom in the promo code. Every form you can think of to chew or to swallow, and oils, and also cosmetics. 303, I'll just give the website, RealCBDThatWorks.com. Tom in the promo code, 30% off. Chandra has a problem with a home inspection. I'd like to talk to her. And I also want to tell you it's car day today. And we have Jesse with us from Colorado Springs, Schillinger. He's with Honest Accurate Auto. You haven't been up in a while, Jesse. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Hey, Jesse, you have any cars sitting around waiting for parts? Are you experiencing problems?
Absolutely. Yeah, parts are hard to get a hold of.
What are the worst parts? What are the hardest ones to get a hold of?
Oddly enough, we're having a hard time getting brake rotors where they used to be really easy and convenient. Now we have to look around and try to find them. So
wow,
that's a tough one.
Brake rotors.
Lots of brake work, and it's hard to find those, so it's getting tough.
Okay, we'll talk about whatever car issues come up on the show today. Today is car day, but we talk about anything you want as well. Like Chandra, she wants to talk about home inspection. Chandra, what's going on with you?
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
I just wanted to get your opinion. We had our house inspected by Scott back in December before we purchased. And they
you mentioned Scott. Is this someone I should know?
Yeah, Scott Inspection is on the referral list.
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean Scott Inspect? I thought you were talking about a guy's name.
I've never heard of them.
I've not heard of Scott.
No, they're not on the referral list.
But in any case, it doesn't matter. We'll help you one way or the other. So, Scott Inspection?
Okay, so Frank Duran suggested them to us because he bought and sold our house.
If Frank recommended them, they're golden. That means he's used them before.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I mixed it up with you.
It's okay. No, it's fine. So what's going on?
But, so we bought this house with a really ancient furnace. I've actually talked to you about our furnace in the past, and an old air conditioner, and it was December, so they couldn't turn on the air conditioner. I sent you guys the report. They mentioned it's old, there's some dirt, there's debris. Okay, so we bought the house anyway, and now we're having the furnace and air conditioner replaced, but all these things have come up, like that the furnace isn't to code. It's in a guest room, bathroom. It's too close to the wall. There's insufficient venting. They put up this crummy drywall wall that's sort of bowed.
I don't know if inspections look for code, actually, to be honest with you, if it's already there and existing. But I want to know about this. You say it had to be replaced. I need to know, how old is it?
Well, it's so old it didn't have a tag. So
give me an idea of how old. I mean, give me an idea, some idea of how old.
So the furnace, they think that the furnace is about 20 years old, and it's still working. The air conditioner, it's hard to say, and that doesn't work. It's the condenser. Yeah,
don't ever replace an AC with a 20-year-old furnace.
No, well, we're having 888 do the whole shooting match together.
Okay, good.
So
Garrett's a good guy. You're having him replace both?
Yeah. I've been really pleased with them because all this stuff happened, and they're covering we have to have a door cut. They're covering all this stuff under the same quote. They've been very decent to us.
Good.
But I was just wondering if we had an issue with the inspection report, or if it's too much to ask that they would have mentioned this insufficient venting and all this different stuff.
Well, okay, if there was insufficient venting, that would have been worth a mention, although they don't go and inspect codes. What they do is they look at what's in place and how it's operating. And as far as insufficient venting, you have to understand something. Insufficient venting is not necessarily objective. It's not necessarily one size fits all. At one time, that may have been fine. Now, if they built up around it after installing the furnace years ago, then an inspector saw that. I could see an inspector saying, hey, by the way, I don't like the way this furnace is vented. It doesn't have enough fresh air. I mean, yeah, you could mention stuff, but that's really outside their bailiwick. Usually inspectors don't make recommendations on improving things. They simply say, you know, well, it's old. It's whatever, just what they did. It's hard to say when they should recommend or say other things. Let me give you an example. In a basement, for example, it's common, let's say your basement was unfinished. It's common to have what's called a floating wall. That means that it's raised up a bit above the studs, and the nails float. It's hard to explain, but what it's meant to do is allow the floor to move a tiny bit without cracking walls, drywall. And so let's say there were no floating walls, or it's not optimum, but I doubt a home inspector would say, by the way, you know, if you ever want to finish this basement, you're going to have a problem because there's no floating walls. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Or like, oh, there's no French drain here. I would have built my house with a French drain. I don't think that is what an inspector's supposed to do. Now, that's not to say we can't have another level of inspection, but when I buy a home, I do something in addition to an inspector. I get experts on different aspects of the house to say what would be optimum, not what would suffice or pass. All an inspector is saying is what will pass, and is it okay now? I don't think I'd be upset if I had a 20-year-old furnace, for example, and I had to upgrade the furnace, because I'll bet you 80%, maybe 90% of 20-year-old furnaces would need code upgrades. So the fact that they have to bring in more combustion air or fresh air or increase the combustibility or the fresh air, it's not a defect. It's not something like a cracked foundation wall, or it's not like, you know, I hope I'm making sense, but it's beyond a normal inspection. Now, I'm not saying it wouldn't be lovely to have someone say, hey, by the way, you know, I had a guy one time, and he was like that. I had him inspect a home, and boy, he made all kinds of recommendations. You know, he even went so far one time to say on another house I had, I don't like the way they ran this piping. It's kind of sloppy. I would have done it this way. You know, stuff like that. But that's not really what you're hiring him for. You're upset because when you did first of all, replacing a 20-year-old furnace, that guy's harmless. You're buying that at your own risk. I mean, there's no way someone can predict how long a 20-year-old furnace is going to last. The fact, or a 20-year-old air conditioner, the fact that you're replacing it, I think what you're upset about is that you're spending extra money to bring it up to code, and you're saying, well, I should have known, had I ever had to buy one, it would not be up to code where it sits, and I would have to open up more air and more this. No, I don't think you can put that on an inspector. I don't think you can. I think that if you had an HVAC person come in, that would have been different. If you said, hey, this is getting old, how much is it going to cost to replace? And by the way, if I knew I had a 20-year-old system, that's the first thing I would do. I would have an HVAC guy come in and look at places and look at the system. I have what I call a foolproof way of buying a house. This is what I do. And I'm giving away I'm going to give away the secret. I don't think you have a case against the guy. I'm going to give away some secrets. I'm telling you this. It might be a bad time to buy a house right now. You might be thinking about it. But right after the break, I promise you, I'm going to tell you exactly how I've purchased homes and saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, this is in addition to using Frank Duran, the real estate man, which I use. But I'm going to tell you a system that I developed. Honest to God. And I've never talked about it before. I'm going to tell you exactly how I've purchased my last 3 homes and how I've rocked when it comes to deals.
At Allworth, we go all in on retirement so you get the most out of it. I'm Scott Hansen, and it's our exclusive 7-step process, specialized resources, and personalized approach that helps you take the worry out of retirement planning. We're here to help at allworthfinancial.com.
The Buffaloes begin Pac-12 conference play. Hi, this is Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Tomorrow, the Buffs open conference play hosting UCLA in Boulder. Coverage begins at 10, kickoff at noon on KOA, 850 AM, 94.1 FM, and on iHeartRadio.
John Fuller is a personal injury attorney. He's an accident attorney. He's my accident attorney on the show. That means we go to him for expert advice when people call us after an accident. And what do people want to know? They want to know, hey, if it wasn't my fault and my life is affected, what do I do? John Fuller will answer those questions. And you will not be in a clearinghouse, a call center, like many of these big firms. Let's face it, when you have 30 or 40 attorneys on staff, you are a number. I don't care how you look at it. You are. You are. When you have one attorney and some paralegals and he takes your case, you are his client, not a number. John Fuller, Fuller Law. I've known him for years, and trust me, I send people to him. Mark and Suzanne have used him personally. Fuller Law, 303-597-4500, myaccidentlawyer.co. You'll get his personal cell phone and personal communication. myaccidentlawyer.co.
Grainberry, healthy cereal for your family.
I'm Peter Harris for Grainberry Cereals with amazing onyx.
Yo, hey. Hi, Robert.
Wow.
What? What did you wow about?
The kid, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and he was also on Riverdale.
Yeah.
He was just sentenced to life in prison for killing his mother.
Wow.
Oh, I saw that.
He's a young kid.
Yeah, he was on Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
No.
That's weird.
Oh.
You said he's an intern.
So,
Real quick, excuse me, Ken. Tommy, remember yesterday the Serene Clean call? We wanted to give it to Doc. He emailed pictures last night and called back. Do you want to talk to him about the pictures or take his number and throw it at Doc? The pictures are gross.
Let's do both.
All right.
and Suze?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that child care that we're going to talk about?
Okay, two things. I just called her. She didn't answer, but child is out of state, so I don't think the guardian ad litem idea is going to be a good idea for the call anyway. But she didn't answer, so I told her to call us back.
That's a serious one.
Yeah, but I didn't like that she's coming on just accusing husband of this and that, and I didn't like any of that, Tom.
Yeah, but if in fact the son...
It's the kid that's getting in the middle of it that we were concerned about.
The son is saying my dad's molesting me. I don't know if he's
Well, that's
coached.
coming from a scorned woman, though.
I know.
Sorry.
No, I know.
Women are nasty when it
can
comes
be.
to shit like that.
Can be.
Yep.
He'll be here in a few minutes.
Governors have a derelict.
I did. I'm texting you.
How can it be derelict to spread the love?
The European Union is on the verge of breaking apart, but their new laws and policies are working against
What did we put him on for? Is Fuller on today?
No.
No, Fuller.
We have nobody on access.
No.
Twitter. Follow the Troubleshooter at Real Tom Martino.
And stay connected with all of Denver's talk station on Twitter.
Just give me your Twitter and I'll follow you.
Find us right now at 630 KHOW.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. Let's talk about buying a home a surefire way. Okay, here's what I do. I book an appointment to see the house. And I go there, and if I like it, I make notes. There's some cracks, the driveway's heaving a bit, or the basement, or this or that. I make notes right away. I try everything, look at everything, the general systems, and take notes if I like the house. If I don't like it, I don't like the floor plan, I do nothing. Now I take notes, and I say, okay, this house has a driveway that's heaving. Is it the garage floor that sunk or the driveway that heaved? This house has some issues with a crack in one wall. This house has some stucco issues. And I take notes. Now, I don't tell the seller I'm looking at it a second time. Instead, someone else goes back. I go back a second time with them, but it's either my wife or someone else to look at the house a second time. Now, there's a reason for this. I don't want them to think I love the house. I don't want them to think I hate the house. I don't want them to think anything. So they go back and look at the house. Now, people are going to say if it has a Ring doorbell, blah, blah, blah. I'm not that secretive, right? But I just don't, it just doesn't say, hey, we want to see another look. When people say that, sometimes sellers get overly ambitious. On the second look, I actually have the people with me that I need to put a price to what I saw. So my stucco guy will say, you're going to need about $18,000 worth of repairs. My concrete guy said there's nothing wrong. It just needs to be pumped, and it needs this and that leveling. This is what that'll cost. I have different experts that I take with me, and I've said, please do me a favor. I have Jay Brett's Excel Roofing. If I had a question about the roof, he says, Tom, there's not enough venting in the roof. The roof looks good. You may need to replace some gutters. Now I know exactly what I have to do to make this house perfect. Now, I might have missed something, but most of the time I don't. And by the way, I also have a home inspector at the time. And so as the home inspector is finding things, my people are putting prices to things that I noticed. When the home inspector finds things, we put prices to that. See, I talk to my home inspector and say, what do you think that's going to cost if I don't have the expert with me? So the second time there, I actually taken a home inspector, but I don't tell anybody I'm taking a home inspector or contractors. On one house, I came up with a price of $125,000 that I knew would make the house perfect. This was a big house. It was years ago. Now I make a bid on the house. And here's how I bid on the house. I don't want to get into finances. It could be a pre-approved loan. It could be cash, whatever. I don't want to get into that, but I make a cash offer. What I mean by that is this. No loan approval necessary. That could be because I'm already pre-approved, right, with Ideal, or I already have money put aside from a previous sale, but I make a cash offer, no contingencies. Do you understand what that means? That means that they look at me and they think, this guy looked at the house a while ago. Now he's coming back with a cash offer. No contingencies, meaning no inspections, no this, no that. And I'll tell you why. Because I know exactly what that house is going to cost me to make it the way I want it. And I make that cash offer, no contingencies, closing in 3 weeks. People go crazy because they say, what? And I put hard earnest money down. What the hell is that? Hard earnest money means I don't want it back, ever. If I don't close, you get to keep it. And I make it a lot, like $100,000. So now think about this. You're putting up $100,000, no contingencies, no refunds, no questions asked, closing in 3 weeks. Now, most of the time, the seller wants to extend that. But that offer, they will take hundreds of thousands less, and they will take it immediately, and it's happened every single time. Every single time. Now, have I been wrong? Sometimes. I missed something, but never a big thing, because I've already had the inspector with me and my contractors. Never a big thing. Little things. Little things I want to do. But that works. And also, if you have hard money that you put down, you can often get access to the property. Let's say if it's vacant especially, and it's hard money, you can get access to the property to start doing some improvements. Now, one guy told me, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'd like to start fixing up the place. And he said, well, what if you don't buy it? And I said, here's what. You get to keep $100,000 and have the improvements I just made. So you ought to hope I don't buy it. And then I put in epoxy garage floors, just like we talked about, right? You know, I'll call my people at GarageMagic.com and have John do the floors. I'll call up my people and have them rip out ugly shelving that they put in. I start fixing. I mean that. My stucco repairs start being made. One time, I had a seller, God's honest truth, contact Frank Duran, the real estate man, and ask him if they could get out of the contract and they would buy it back. They would give me money to walk away. Why? Because they realized the gem that they had. But the problem is, when sellers see problems like the garage heaving or the driveway heaving or cracks in the stucco, they don't know what they're looking at. They're looking at a mystery. And when Tom came along and put a price to it and started fixing it, and they drive by and see this house and they're saying, holy crap, look at that garage, look at this, look at that. They want it out. Sorry, can't do it. $100,000 hard. It's my house. That's the way people need to buy houses. They need to be prepared. But you don't tell people, I'm getting an inspection. I'm bringing my contractor over. No. What you do is you absolutely, positively have it done without telling them, if you like the house. Bill, quickly, what is your comment? Because I have other calls, but I love comments. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, I got a quick 2 important things. The first thing you do is you turn the water on and you flush the toilet. See what kind of pressure you got.
Bill,
and
obviously. I mean, listen, I don't want to go back to kindergarten right now. I honest to God love what you're saying, but isn't that so freaking obvious? I mean, I think the very first thing you do, Bill, is open the door, make sure it opens, and then turn on the lights and check the plumbing. Yes, Bill, but you have a home inspector with you. Did you hear the part where I have a home inspector?
Another thing is, this is my opinion, is you sit out in front of the house for a day or two and see what kind of neighbors are in the neighborhood.
By the way, Bill, I totally missed that. That is a great comment. You know what? He actually brought up something that I've never talked about. But you're right. You know, we've had people buy houses before, and they hate the neighborhood, and it's too late. Oh, my goodness. Bill, I forgot all about that. You're right. You do want to know what kind of neighborhood you're moving into. You want to know who your neighbor is. You really do. I mean, that could ruin everything. And I don't even know if you have to sit outside, but there's nothing wrong with that. You might want to knock on some doors, introduce yourself. But what a good point, because I always call it neighbors from hell or a neighborhood from hell. If you're ever stuck with a neighbor from hell or neighbors from hell or a subdivision you don't like, it could be a freaking nightmare. I mean, it could. Thank you for that. We got more coming up.
This is Denver's Talk Station with Tom Martino now. Dan Kaplis today at 4, 630 KHOW, Denver. Now, Impact Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories podcast.
Fairly standard driving throughout the Denver Metro as we hit that late morning. I-25 into downtown. Southbound road showing speeds in the 30s and 40s between I-70 and Spear Boulevard. Up on the northeast end near Commerce City, we're seeing normal slowdowns on I-270 westbound at the exit to Vasquez. A little bit north from there, I-76 westbound, no surprises here. Regular slowdowns between 84th and I-270. Otherwise, green and clean driving throughout the Denver Metro. Fox 31, Pinpoint Weather, mostly sunny skies this afternoon with a high of 80 degrees, overnight low of 49. Tomorrow, mostly sunny again with a high of 81. The current temperature in Denver, 68. With your Impact Traffic and Weather, Mark Swan, 630 KHOW.
The Pony Express is known worldwide, but its story is not. It was part of a larger company and only lasted 18 months, which was sort of the plan all along. Be sure to catch this week's edition of Our American Stories on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
SimplyFloorsInc.com. That's incorporated, INC. That's really Buddy and Karen Mitchell, the heart and soul of that company. 52nd Ward, Southwest corner. Any floor coverings you want. A wide variety of carpeting. And they have, of course, luxury vinyl planking. They also have hardwoods, engineered floors, laminates, and they will provide a design consultant for your project to make sure you get the perfect experience, better installers, better financing, and you'll save over the big boxes. How do you beat that? Up to 40% savings in some cases. SimplyFloorsInc.com.
Century RV is celebrating the grand opening of their new state-of-the-art facility.
We'll see, okay? 303-713-TALK. Anyone else? Car problem?